So you've got a spider plant throwing spider babies at you everywhere. And yes, while spider babies does sound kind of creepy, actually these little guys are pretty adorable. So if you have no idea what to do with them, I'm going to show you 3 super easy ways to propagate this baby. And one method is so easy, the plant basically does all the work for you. So this is a spider plant that I've bought inside from my outdoor decking cleanup. It's a bit of a mess. I usually keep it outside, and it is admittedly a little bit of a sacrificial caterpillar plant because my caterpillars always go for this thing. So there are leaves, chewed everywhere. So while this beautiful plant is ridiculously overgrown, it allows me to show you 3 super easy methods of propagation. So let's get straight into it. So the first method is division. It's basically separating the plant out into new littler plants. This is exactly what I need in this instance because as you can see, this big spider plant has grown significantly. Okay, so I'm going to put some gloves on. I have my potting mat and now I have the basket that I'm going to put it in. And while it may look half decent side by side, I can tell you from experience, I tried putting some ferns in and there's actually not a lot of space in there. So I'm going to do a little bit of tidy up. Okay, are we ready? There for now. See all the little bulbs that hold the roots? So all division is separating out those mama plants separately into their own individual plants. Right, all I'm doing right now is loosening the base. So what I'll try and do actually is just divide it in half to start with. Look at all of those. Look at all of those bulbs. Look at them all. This is full on. Look at it. Look at it all. Look at it all. Roots everywhere. Right, now, I've got to a point where the middle, the base, is pretty loosened up, but the top part is still very tough. Literally, just get a knife or some scissors and cut down the middle because you're still going to have lots and lots and lots of roots on the side. I'm going to cut down the middle to save myself some time. Yes, I'll be cutting roots for sure. Yes, I'll be stressing the plant for sure. But I am trying to divide it, and it's a tough cookie. Okay, you can see now, Bob, I'll pop back, I've cleaned up a bit, but you have now 2 very separate plants. That's all division is just separating out the one plant to 2 plants. So I'm going to put that one back in here. I really need a bigger space. So I have 1/2 or 1/3 more to the point of my plant. I have no plant babies coming off of it. That's by a choice. That's by my choice. And now I'm just going to put all of these roots back into this. See, only half of that plant just fits in there. See, the basket is a lot smaller than it actually looks. Okay, there we go. There's my spider plant baby. But I am going to take this one and I'm going to move it out of the way and keep it for a little bit later to the end. And if you want more plant care tips like this sent straight to your inbox, come and join the Leafy Lounge. That's my weekly newsletter where I share propagation guides, troubleshooting tips, and all the real plant parent stuff that doesn't make it to YouTube. The link is in description in the show notes below. It's a little bit of fun, so come and join the Leafy Lounge. So there you have it. I've cleaned up a little bit now, got rid of all of the extra dirt, all the old dirt, and I've repotted up the second bigger half or bigger 2/3 probably. Is this the prettiest division I've ever had? No, but does division work as a propagation technique? Absolutely. Division absolutely works if you need to check the roots or if it's getting too big for its base or if it's root bound or all 3, which is basically my case. I mean, I could have split it further, but this size works for me fine. Okay, so we've talked about division enough. Let's move on to the next one, method number 2. And honestly, number 2 is the laziest genius method out there. The plant literally will do all the work for you. In this method, you're basically going to be copying what nature does on its own. So while I was tidying up and repotting this one, I also grabbed a new pot that has no plant in it. It does have some of my potting mix in there, my arrowed soil mix in there. Now, my spider plant babies actually have quite a lot of roots, which is helpful in this situation. So in this case, I could cut these off and pot them out separately if I really wanted to because the roots are so long. But if you have smaller roots like this, you want to take that baby plant still connected to the mother plant and just add it in. Grab a spoon or something, or, you know, just whatever you need to do, make a little hole and put it in. And I'm just going to fill it up with more potting mix around the edges. There we go. There's the baby plant in the potting mix, but it's still connected. And that's it. Now I can take the mama plant and my baby potted up plant, place them next to each other and treat them like two separate plants. But that's just it. We now wait for those roots to grow into that pot. It'll take at least a couple of weeks, 3 to 4 weeks, depending on your environment, how much you water it, etc. But that is just it. So you can have the mother and baby sitting there nicely. You know they're safe. You know she's still growing because she's connected to mum, but she'll be ready in a few weeks to be her own separate new baby spider plant, which is really, really cool. So now you can see why this is the lazy but genius plant parent method. The great thing with this method, I would say though, is it's really hard to mess up. The baby still gets everything it needs from the mother while it figures out its own roots. But honestly, this also takes the longest and you can't really see what's happening with the roots. So if you're impatient like me and you want to actually see what's happening with those roots, then method number 3 is the one you're going to love the most, which honestly is the one I love as well. Okay, so we're up to method number 3, and this is honestly my favorite method. Because I love watching the roots grow. We're going to do it through some water propagation, but there really is something just satisfying about seeing the actual roots grow in a clear pot or container or something like that. Spider plant is so easy that water is the simplest and easiest to set up, and you can make it really aesthetic too, which is what I'm going to show you today. So these are all the spider baby cuttings and the ones that were growing into other pots and everything. I've taken off all of the stems that were there before. They're no longer needed. It's not attached to the mother plant because I cut them all off. These guys are going to use the water propagation method to grow up even further. The only thing I haven't done is separated out the types of spider plant babies I have. So if they've got smaller roots, like perhaps these do, where the roots are, see that's a root, that's a leaf. There are still roots there, but they're only quite small. So they're going to go in a pile. I'm going to water propagate those. But I also do have in here some of the cuttings that were already growing into some other plants, and they've got double roots and triple roots. Some of them have those bulbs already formed on them. So these are already almost like adult form. So I don't need to water propagate those. They're ready to go into soil straight away. So I'm just going to take a quick moment to separate these guys out. Right, okay, so these are the ones I'm going to propagate with water. And I do have a bit of a mix. So I have some that have really decent, you know, straggly roots that have grown already, because I did leave this for quite a long time. But I also have some really small ones. Where's the small one? So I have something like that, which I'm going to try as well, because the roots, again, still have some roots. That's what, about half an inch, almost 3/4 of an inch there. So those roots will grow in the water propagation, but I do have some roots growing already. If there was no roots whatsoever, if it was just the node, which is the base of this baby plant, and there was no roots, I would probably keep it still attached to the mother plant and just let it grow some roots through air. Or you could do method 2 and pop it straight into the pot and let the roots go into the soil while still attached to the mama plant. What you need to do is you need to grab yourself some kind of container. So to make this more pleasing to the eye, to make it look quite lovely while it's growing, I've chosen a nice vase. You need some water, you need your plant babies, you also need some tape. And if you want, you can also grab, if you want to do this with me, you can also grab some rooting hormones, some rooting stimulant. This is in liquid form that you could add to the water, but we'll do that in a second. Right, so first things first, before we take any of the spider babies, I want you to grab your tape and you're going to create a crisscross method, like a hatch work method, onto the plant pot. So I'm going to do 3 horizontally and 3 vertically. There you go. There's the tape. You can't see the tape. You can a little bit from the light. Where is it? You can see a little bit of light, but ultimately, see, you can't see it. That's the whole point of having that tape there. Okay, so we've got the tape. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to put every single spider plant baby into the gaps in the tape. That's what it's there. And they're not very big gaps. If you've got a really wide, big pot, then I would put maybe 4 or 5 different pieces of tape. Because now what we're going to do is we're going to put each of the babies into these holes in the tape so that they sit by themselves. And you do not want the roots touching the base of the vase. So let me find a really big one to start with. So that's a nice, decent, chunky size. So I'm going to put him in first. I'm going to see where he fits. Right, so he's sitting about just above halfway. So now what I'm going to do is take all of the rest of the plant babies and I'm going to put them in so the roots are sitting at about the same level-ish as much as possible. It won't be perfect, but let's see how it goes. So I've got a pot of water here. And as I said, if you want to get some biostimulant, some root growth hormone in liquid form, you can add that to the water beforehand. I know a lot of people do. I normally do when I'm doing most of my water propagations, I must admit. Just a little bit. This is quite dark, so the water won't be clear. So I've only put in half an amount just so the water isn't too brown. That's just by choice. But a spider plant does grow quite quickly, so I don't need the fuller strength of the propagation liquid there. So now I'm just filling that with water. Take your time. Don't pour it onto the tape. Pour it in. And now what I'm trying to do is I'm going to get the water to come up and sit at the same level that those roots were. But you don't want the whole plant sitting in water. You just want to try and get the roots to sit into the water. Okay, so I've added in the water up to the level of the roots. Now I can adjust some of the plant babies that maybe fell too low or maybe that are still sitting too high. So let's just readjust some as we go. Now you don't need all of the base sitting in, just a couple of roots here and there is fine. If you've got some really small babies that don't quite reach all of the water yet, don't stress, just as long as some of those roots are touching the water. So there is my aesthetically pleasing propagation station, basically. So now I'm going to leave this for 2 weeks and I'm going to watch these roots go longer and longer and longer. So there is your nice method. And the great thing about that, not only can you watch those roots grow over time, you can also put this somewhere where it actually looks quite cute because it just looks like a little glass plant. I think that's really adorable. And I think you could easily have that on a coffee table. So as I said, once the roots are a few inches long, you can then pot them up just like we did with the division or any other plant that you have of your favorite choosing and your favorite potting mix. So that is method number 3. What do you think? I might just move these around, make it a little pretty. There you go. Ta-da! For me, this is still honestly one of the easiest propagation methods there is. If you can change water in a jar, you can do this. So there you have it, 3 super easy ways to propagate spider plants through division if you want multiple plants right now or need to make your plant smaller like I did. Leaving them attached if you want 0 effort and you just want to mimic what nature does. And of course, water propagations if you love watching the roots grow like I do. Let me know in the comments which method you're going to try, or if you've already propagated spider plants, what's worked best for you? What have you tried? Have you done any of these methods? Do you like my little water propagation jar? Honestly, tell me in the comments what one you love the most, what one you're going to try. Now, as I said right at the beginning, this spider plant came from my spring repotting series where I tackled some completely overgrown situations. I had over 100 plants that needed repotting, including this one. So if you want to see how this whole mess started and what else I've cleaned up, check out the series that started it all. I'm going to leave a link for you right here. Thank you for watching. As always, I'll see you next time with more leaves, love and laughter, and hopefully a few more little spider babies taking over your beautiful coffee table. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in this next one right here. Bye. Okay. Can you hear how heavy it is?